And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for, the administration of the oath of office of His Excellency President Ferdinand E. Marcos by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, the Honorable Ramon Aquino.
And with that, there was no more television coverage, so we don't know, in fact, whether or not Marcos was sworn in. The two ceremonies were bracketed by some bloody fighting in the streets of Manila. NBC's Steve Mallory is on the scene tonight.
Fighting continued this morning outside a television station controlled by pro-Marcos forces. Snipers in a transmission tower shot at rebel troops that were trying to take over the station. Despite sporadic clashes, there has not been any widespread fighting. The rebels continue to claim that government troops are defecting to their side, including elite ranger units, helicopter gunship squadrons, most of the Air Force, and most Navy ships.
You hear me on this circuit?
The rebel leaders said that 85% of the military backed them.
A U.S. State Department spokesman said the Reagan administration is looking into the possibility of freezing Philippine assets.
On the streets outside rebel headquarters, thousands of Filipinos defied a nighttime curfew imposed by President Marcos. They made their homes out in the open to provide an extraordinary human barricade around the rebel positions. Pro-Marcos forces did not attempt any attacks. Pro-government troops have not been seen in any great numbers out in force, only at checkpoints near the presidential palace, where they're trying to keep demonstrators away. Security around the palace remains tight. President Marcos has remained in his palace since the mutiny began Saturday. While President Marcos made preparations to be sworn in as president for another 6 years, Corazon Aquino was sworn in by an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court.
Proclaiming Mrs. Corazon C. Aquino and former Senator Salvador H. Laurel as President-elect and Vice President-elect of the Republic of the Philippines.
Mrs. Aquino quickly named her vice presidential running mate, Salvador Laurel, Prime Minister. She named rebel leaders Juan Ponce Enrile, Defense Minister, and General Ramos, Chief of Staff. It was Enrile and Ramos who began the rebellion that is slowly toppling the Marcos government.
Steve, what do we know tonight about President Marcos? Was he in fact sworn in? Television coverage was interrupted, as I'm sure you saw there.
That was just a short while ago. We still haven't had it confirmed yet. That was the only real open communication from the palace. That was a key government, pro-government station where there's been fighting, and the fighting continues. It would seem that maybe the transmission tower was finally knocked out.
You're standing on a hotel roof, which is about, 4 miles from the Makati district, and I'm told tonight that there has been some sharp fighting in that area, that at least 4 people were killed. What can you tell us about fighting in the streets of Manila there in the late afternoon Tuesday?
Well, it's early afternoon at the moment, and it's not that serious as it sounds. There, of course, are confrontations going on. They're not major violent ones. They're sporadic. There's been some in Makati, some near the palace, 8 injured there, I believe.